because one person could make a difference as long as others were there to care with them.
This is Curtis Sliwa welcoming you to Curtis Cast. I'm going to discombobulate, bisect, and dissect the technology that oftentimes comes from the mainstream media. Kick you some knowledge, maybe kick you in your tuchus too, because that's probably where your brains are. So don't remove yourself from Curtis Cast. This is a presidential year, and the candidates are traveling first class, 5-star hotels, top shelf. Yours truly, Curtis Sliwa. Oh, first off, Islip Airport, MacArthur, Long Island, the best. I'll tell you what, never congestion. You fly Southwest, bargain basement prices. Okay, it's out there in Ronkonkoma. It'll take you 3 Sundays to get out there, but forget the tie-ups of Newark, JFK, and LaGuardia. No congestion whatsoever. And to give you an idea, I traveled on Saturday night into Baltimore, connection to Detroit. And in Detroit, met with the Guardian Angels. And then we talked about the corruption there of their mayor, the hip-hop mayor, Kwame Kilpatrick, who last we saw was having 2 hooker strippers do the jiggle wiggle in the freaky deaky at the Manugian mansion, the mayoral mansion. Mrs. Kirkpatrick finds out about it and comes in with the Louisville Slugger. Boom! Catches the hooker right between the eyes. 2 weeks later, she's found dead on arrival. A week later, the other jiggle wiggle hooker is found dead on arrival. Police bullets were found at the scene of the crime. What a mess that is there. And the mayor, with a budget deficit there, wants to sell half of the tunnel to Canada. Not the full tunnel. Half of the tunnel to Windsor, which is just incredible. And then all of a sudden, I started to pound the hound to Toledo, where the mayor actually had thrown his wife out of the car and she broke a hip, although she said it was in a skating accident. And then all of a sudden, through the Rust Belt to Akron, which used to make all the tires, now they make manga nud in this economy. And in Akron there, people were talking about real issues that affect real people's lives, like they're on the assembly line, they don't have jobs. Meantime, the farmers outside of the Rust Belt, they're growing corn and they're making moolah shmoolah lettuce and scatol like there's no tomorrow because of ethanol, which is nothing more than corn squeezings that used to be made in the stills in the back of the farms years ago. And then finally I end up in Cleveland, where I visited East Cleveland, where a former Guardian Angel was mayor, who took over for a mayor who was indicted and convicted of murder. It doesn't get any better than that, ladies and gentlemen. But let me tell you something. Assembly line workers are suffering a depression. Farmers, it's like Daddy Warbucks. It's like they just shot into a pool, Texas tea, and they're like the Beverly Hillbillies. And everyone else is stuck in between. Now, I know some of you are very upset with my picks for the Kentucky Derby. You took out that second mortgage, that reverse mortgage. You thought you would be rolling in dough, and you lost everything. Okay, Big Brown, the favorite. He was in the 20 slot. He made it all the way to the front. Could be a Triple Crown winner. Definitely might win the Preakness. I don't know about Belmont. But then again, you saw the filly. She broke both her ankles. The number 2 winner. Now, how could any of you complain about my bad picks when I'm sitting shiver for that great filly horse who has gone into that horse wagon in the sky? So please, don't break my chops. Don't break my stones. We need to be remembering. Now, Pyro, I think he came from like 18th to 8, okay? Had no juice. And Colonel John, he could have did it, but he came from too far behind and didn't have enough wiggle room in between. And then Gay Dago, or whatever that gay horse was that I picked for 3rd, finished in 9th. So look, stop already. Abast. Let's just focus on 8 days of praying for the lost filly. And then I'll have my Preakness picks, and I'll come back, and then I'll have my Belmont picks. And then you'll be rolling in dough. Big showdown this past weekend, NBC not being critical of Barack and Tim Russett. What happened to this guy? Is he eating granola instead of red meat? Throwing him softballs. I remember when he went after Mike Umbarachich, Rudy Giuliani, in the waning days of his presidential run. He was all over Rudy. With Barack, he was fawning over Barack. Not quite like Chris Matthews, who goes, oh, Barack Obama, he's our savior. He'll bring us political rapture. But again, softballs. He was talking gas prices, oil exploration. And then there was Hillary Rodham Clinton with Twinkle Toes Stephanopoulos. Oh, yeah, those were real tough questions. It was softball city, USA, but everything was about gas. And then I'm saying to myself, think of McCain, think of Barack, think of Hillary. And what they do is they talk about gas, the price of gas, it should go down. Hillary and McCain saying there should be a gas holiday in terms of the federal tax from Memorial Day weekend to Labor Day. Barack says that's all nonsense. But for the two Democrats, they keep saying, wait, they want less consumption. Well, if the price goes up to $4 or more at the tank, that'll mean less consumption. But no. They want that price jacked down. Then again, they say they don't want to be dependent on foreign oil, like with the Saudis and the Ruskies and Hugo Chavez in Venezuela. Yet they don't want to do any exploration off our coast or in Anwar in Alaska. So they can't have it both ways. So can you believe it or not, the primaries in Indiana and in North Carolina may come down to the fact of who can deliver cheaper gas and cheaper diesel fuel at the pump. Oh, and it's time for our Mob Talk update. Oh, what a piece of work, Victoria Gotti Jr. Did you see how all of a sudden she was forced to sell one of her properties? The 14 properties that she swindled, negotiated with Carmine Agnello, remember, who used to run the biggest chop shop in all America beyond the right field line of Shea Stadium, Jamaica Salvage, where he used to chop shop cars and chop shop human beings in the cars. Well, anyway, eventually he had to go do a bid of 7 years in federal prison. And as part of their divorce proceedings, he gave her the 14 properties. Her job was to collect the rent. Could you imagine saying no to Victoria Gotti or telling her you were late with the rent? Well, anyway, she refused to pay taxes because, like everything else in this world, the Gottis think they're special, the best, not like the rest. They don't have to pay taxes. So she was forced to sell one of the properties, I think a 2-story walk-up on Sufton Boulevard. The guy who bought it, he didn't want no problems with organized crime. It's Operation Hush Hush Mush Mush. Meantime, you think that's bad, Victoria? The tapes, Louis Kasman, the Mameluke, the guy who was the adopted son of John Gotti Sr., who provided the W-2 to legitimize John Gotti Sr.'s income as a zipper salesman here in the Fashion District. Well, man, he wore a wire after John Gotti Sr. died, and he was trying to get every Gotti in the world on the tape, and he got Victoria Jr., and he got Victoria Sr., and let me tell you, Victoria Jr. was spilling the beans. What a dysfunctional family the Gottis are. She was on the case of her brother, on the case of her mother, on the case of everyone named Gotti. And meantime, she said about her mother, Victoria Sr., let me tell you, if she thought there was $5 in the yard of that compound, she'd be down on her hands and knees freaking digging up every particuli in order to find those $5 and saying that John Gotti Jr., in my trial, the third trial, she didn't know where he was going. She said, man, this guy is hopelessly lost. It was so good, so warming to my heart to see that the guy that they brought into the family, sort of the Tom Hagen, remember in The Godfather? Tom Hagen, the adopted son, was like a peacetime consigliere. Remember, hey, Tom, you know, wartime consigliere. Well, Louis Kasdan, the button salesman, was the adopted son, and he ends up deep six in the Gottis. I can't get enough of that. Oh, please, more mob talk. I want to hear more of the tapes of the Gottis literally throwing each other under the bus. Oh, and I want to thank the great New York Post columnist Phil Mushnick. You find him in the sports pages of the New York Post. The Staten Island kid, man, it's like he was like chewing my BVDs and pulling my chain. Did you see this? He actually advocated that I be made president of the United States. Not McCain, not Barack, not Hillary. All because I attacked all three for allowing themselves to be exploited by Vince McMahon Jr. and the WWE. I talked about the murders. I talked about the steroid abuse. I talked about this was the absolute worst forum in the world that all three should appear on, particularly in their desire, their penchant to appeal to blue-collar, working-class Slabinskis in the heartland of America. And Phil Mushnick said out of all the people that he had access to, yours truly, Curtis Sliwa, was the one to get on their case, and that I deserve, according to Phil Mushnick in the New York Post, to be the next president of the United States. I am reporting to duty. Curtis Sliwa, president of the United States. You're saying, how can I do that? I am Curtis Sliwa. Oh, the next time you see me on the flicks right here on Uber TV, I'm going to be able to give you the nitty-gritty details of Jim McGreevey, the disgraced governor of New Jersey, on WABC in New York at WABCRadio.com. So nice they do it twice, exclusively live and local at KABC in Los Angeles at KABCRadio.com. I'll give you all of those details up next on the Curtis Sliwa Slice on this Uber TV.